So just like is set forth in the text, I'm going to repeat that application software is really the thing that you interact with when you are interacting with any kind of computing device. So if we're looking at a desktop, at a laptop, at a phone, at a tablet, whatever, you're probably not interacting with the phone's hardware or the phone's system software. You are interacting with an application software, something that is built specifically for you to be able to do work. So, what I thought I would do here is highlight some pieces of application software that you might not know about, but that you should absolutely positively keep in your toolkit because they will absolutely make what you do with your computer on a day to day basis much, much better. There's one additional thing I should mention here I did not mention previously was all of these application softwares are available across all of your devices with the exception of Libre Office. The very first thing we talk about is only available, actually the first two things we talk about, Libre Office and Earfin View, are only available on desktop machines, so Mac OS or Windows OS. All of the rest of everything we talk about is available on Macs, on Windows, on iOS, and on Android. The first of these pieces of application software is called Libre Office. Now, it's absolutely true that you have Microsoft Office and you have the 2019 version and you have that for the next 4 years. All that's true. This would be something that in a pinch you could install that will, number one, open different weird types of Office documents that you're not used to. So every so often, it still happens that from one of our partner agencies, I get a .odt, which is an Office document format, but it's an open Office document format. It's not something that Word will open, or I'll get a local copy of somebody's cloud copy of a Google spreadsheet document, and Word will not open that. LibreOffice actually has a ton of baked in filters right with the default software where you can absolutely open those weird formats. So it's not something that you're going to need to use every day. Office is going to be something that you'll need to use every day. But every so often, this comes in super handy in a pinch. It's also great if you've got, I'll call it a secondary computer. You've got a laptop or a desktop someplace that you know you're not going to use or that somebody else needs to have a copy of Office for. You can direct them at this and it's always there. It's always available. It always opens Office formats and it can even do a little bit more than Office can do. Next is a piece of software you've probably never heard of before, but it absolutely positively changes the way that a lot of businesses and a lot of regular end users are able to interact with PDF documents. So this is called Earfin View, EAR, like ear, fan, view. It is a totally free piece of software. You are, of course, free to donate. And actually, in the past, I have made donations here for Earfin View. When I worked at a small neighborhood center in Milwaukee, and then later on for the conglomeration of neighborhood centers, we absolutely used Earfin View instead of Adobe products because they were free versus really expensive. What Earfin View allows you to do is something that you can probably do by default anyway, which is open PDF documents. But the wrinkle here is with Earfin View, you can open PDF documents, you can write in PDF documents, you can use your mouse and handwrite in a PDF document. It allows you to do a lot of editing and a lot of saving and manipulation and things of that nature that Adobe products would otherwise have a cost value to. So Earfin View is a fantastic PDF client that is nowhere near as bloated and junky as just Adobe Acrobat, which probably you have to go out and get. This is a much better piece of application software that'll get the job done faster and skinnier and actually provide you with a bunch of extra utility. Our next piece of software is going to make me physically recoil here because I'm about to suggest that a Microsoft product is very, very good. But that's in fact what I'm about to do, is you should contemplate replacing Google Chrome on all of your devices, your Windows PCs, your Macs, your Android phones, your iOS devices. You should consider replacing Google Chrome with Microsoft Edge. The benefit here is the very core of Microsoft Edge is actually Chrome. It is built on the Chromium code base, which is the thing that makes Google Chrome. The advantage is, number one, it is much less resource intensive. You will actually notice a difference in battery life on a phone or the difference in battery life on a laptop of potentially many, many hours, especially on a laptop. I was able to squeeze 2 additional hours of just functional use out of my MacBook Pro by switching from Chrome, which killed the battery, to Internet Explorer. You see, that's the thing that I can't get over, is it's really not Internet Explorer. The core of it is different. It is Microsoft Edge. Even better, any and all of the plugins and the extensions that you would have used for Chrome work here in the exact same way. So everything that was available to you in Chrome is available to you here with Edge, and it's available on all of your platforms: Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, and it does it with a lower system penalty, and it does it faster in some cases than Chrome. And, to boot, it's even doing it with a little less invasion into your privacy. Just really quickly, while we're still on the the topic of browsers, it is worth mentioning that Firefox is another fantastic browser choice and a great piece of application software. This, if you haven't already used it, it actually does exactly the same thing that Chrome will do, that Microsoft Edge will do, but it does it with a different rendering engine. So some of the internal components are a little bit different. So sometimes that means faster load times, sometimes it means slower load times. The benefit to using a Mozilla product like this one, so Firefox, is that there really are a huge amount of user-facing privacy settings that you can use that really do a great job of protecting your personal privacy data habits. So Firefox is a great idea as a secondary browser, especially for all of you who are really locked into the Chrome ecosystem. You can essentially just replace that with Edge. But if you're looking for a secondary ecosystem where you can go occasionally to do some browsing, that is Firefox in a nutshell. And again, it's available to you across all of your different platforms. One of the things I say in the classroom a lot is that for everybody who has ever purchased or used a flash drive, you have somebody who has lost a flash drive. It's only a matter of time before the flash drive that you have entrusted with every document, with every image, with every video, with every whatever that it is, that you need for school, that you use to transfer back and forth all of your clearly legally obtained music and movies, everything else simply vanishes, disappears. You forgot about it, it dropped out of your bag, what have you. Drive.google.com helps you avoid that by storing all of your valuable stuff in the cloud. Now, the fantastic part about Google Drive is, as with all of the other pieces of software, application software here that we've been talking about, that you can use it across all of the different platforms. So there is a Windows, a Mac, an Android, and an iOS app that you can use to easily take all of your files with you, but you're not actually taking them with you. You're just taking access to your files with you. So as long as you have an internet connection, you have availability of those documents. I will say that I use Google Drive every day for all of my documents, essentially. So I keep everything in a Google Drive folder, and when I'm at home working on a file, I can save it what feels like to me here locally. And when I go back to Rock Valley, I can open that very same document wherever I was in place, and all of those changes are there. I can share that document with other people, and the same thing can be true. So it's a fantastic way to manage, to store, and to always take with you all of your files, and it's a great way to share files as well. Fantastic application software. While we're getting things done with application software, so we've already talked about things like Office application software, we've talked about things like browser application software, and we've talked about things like cloud storage software. Invariably, one of the things that you spend a lot of your, daily computing time with is managing messages and emails, and you very probably do that by using a very probably crummy internet, portal to that, right? So you go to rockvalleycollege.edu and then you click through to the Gmail portal, and you would be, managing your emails that way. Not a great experience, right? It looks terrible. The search is bad. Threaded messaging doesn't really work as well as personally I would prefer for it to do. And on your phones, on your Android or your iOS devices, you probably rely on Gmail. And the same thing is true there in Gmail. There's certain shortcomings. There's battery and performance penalties, rather, to be paid there. This is where I'll actually point you at another great piece of Microsoft software, and that is Microsoft Outlook. So because you have your student at rockvalleycollege.edu account, you have access to Microsoft Outlook. And that is on your desktop environments here on a Mac or on a PC. But Microsoft Outlook is always free on Android and iOS. And I will tell you, I have almost completely stopped using Gmail. I only have one device that's the lone holdout where I still have Gmail. And that's only because it's really easy for me to star like returns for Amazon and UPS that way. And I'm kind of lazy. But I have replaced almost all of my instances of the Gmail app with the Microsoft Outlook app. And honestly, I'm a lot happier for it. It does a great job with threaded messaging. So a reply to a reply to a reply. But if somebody breaks that chain and replies outside of it, it shows up as its own new thread, which is phenomenal. You can start right from inside of Outlook a calendar item, and you can do it in natural language. So you can say, remind me about CIS102 meeting every Tuesday at noon. And boom, in your calendar, there will be an entry called CIS102 meeting, and it shows up every Tuesday at noon. The Outlook app is really fantastic, and I cannot recommend it enough as a great piece of application software over and above the functionality that you would get even from something like a Gmail. So we've already talked a lot about browsers and the extensions that you can add into browsers, especially here with things like, well, this is Edge, but Edge and Google Chrome. And a piece of software, application software, that I suggest you invest, it's $0 in across all of your devices, is called Snapseed. You can actually have a Snapseed plugin for Edge or for Chrome on PC or a Mac, and it is a standalone app on your Android and your iOS devices. And what it does is what's referred to as non-destructive photography. If you take a picture in Instagram, Instagram is going to destroy the original quality photo, so that later on, if you fall out of love with one of the filters that you always use on Instagram and you want to make a new post on a different social media platform, you cannot undo what Instagram has permanently done. That's where a non-destructive editor like Snapseed comes into play. What happens is Snapseed allows you to use your original camera or the original camera app on your phone or your tablet, or here on a desktop. It'll allow you to import a a photo file that you have taken from someplace else. And when you're done editing on it, it will save a copy of all of those edits and retain the original copy, so that later on, if you want to make additional changes, you have the original intact without having to go back and undo all of those unnecessary, well, what turned out in the long run to be unnecessary changes. And it works fantastic. And for free, you get a ton of filters, you get a ton of editing options. There's even, artificial intelligent options in there where you can do things like erase objects from a photo. So, you've taken an otherwise fantastic picture next to a really ugly road cone. Well, highlight the road cone, boom, it's replaced. So Snapseed is as good a piece of photo application software for your devices as we can recommend to you. So in total, there have been a whole bunch of application softwares that you can add to your repertoire that will absolutely extend and provide value to you as it is that you interact with these applications, which help you interact with whatever the class of device it is, desktop or mobile.